Thank you. Thank you. I like not knowing what's gonna happen. I like making memories. Sometimes I do all this crazy shit around my colleagues just so that they can tell their friends I did it. But rather than talk about myself, just briefly, I want to just talk about my genre. Stand-up comedy is an incredibly American genre. I don't think any other country could produce this many comedians. And unbeknownst to many people in this audience, I don't think there's opinion that it exists in this country that is not represented in a comedy club by somebody. Each and every one of you has a champion in the room. We watch you guys fight, but when we're together, we talk it out. I know comics that are very racist, and I watch them on stage, and everyone's laughing, and I'm like, that motherfucker means that shit. Don't get mad at them, don't hate them. We go upstairs and have a beer, and sometimes I even appreciate the artistry that they paint their racist opinions with. Man, it's not that serious. The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one doesn't work out. We gotta let some air out of the ball, man. The country's getting a little tight. It doesn't feel like it's ever felt in my lifetime. So tonight, I am honored that my colleagues are here in comedy and in music. And I want everyone in America right now to look at me. Look at me smoking indoors. I didn't ask anybody, I just did it. What are they gonna do? Kick me out before I get the prize? No, nigga, this is called leverage. The thing that I liked best about tonight was that I saw so many people from different parts of my life, like friends that I grew up with here in DC, friends of mine from Ohio then and now, friends of mine from comedy clubs, all the fucking musicians that blew my mind. You guys have no idea how you inspired me. I want to give a special shout out to my OG, Tony Woods. Miles Davis has a quote. It's one of my favorite. Miles Davis said so much cool shit, but one of the things he said I always loved, he said, it took me years to learn how to play like myself. You know, he would watch other musicians and he would try to play like Dizzy or Bird or all the guys who were great. Tony Woods was my Dizzy and Bird if I was a Miles. I was trying to play like you. You were the first person I ever saw do it absolutely right. You were fearless and you told the truth. There's something so true about this genre, when done correctly, that I will fight anybody that gets a true practitioner of this art form's way, because I know you're wrong. This is the truth, and you are obstructing it. I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about the art form. Do you understand? Do we have an agreement? And what I really wanted to say tonight, and I'm glad I get the platform to do it, I'm gay. I am gay, and I can't wait to see what this does for my career, being gay like this. So many special shout outs. One of the main architects of the comeback of the century, my brother and my mentor, the mighty Stan Lathan. I never dreamed that I would be able to work with someone as great as you. These last 5 specials, straight fire. I wouldn't want to do another special with anybody else but you. So eat your motherfucking vegetables and live as long as you can, because we doing a few more of these bitches. Neil Brennan, your speech made me cry, because it reminded me of all those hard days of work and all that money I never got for it. The other real special shout out I gotta make, because none of this would have been possible on any level without this person, is my mother. Mom. My mother. Mom. You have no idea what I put this woman through. If you had just given birth to me, that would have been more than enough. But the fact that you raised me and raised me well, we had a real oral tradition in our house. I knew the word griot when I was a little boy. A griot was a person in Africa who was charged with keeping the stories of the village. Everyone would tell a griot the stories and they would remember them all so that they could tell future generations. And when they got old, they'd tell them to someone else. And they say in Africa, when a griot dies, it's like a library was burnt down. And my mother used to tell me, before I ever thought about doing comedy, she said, you should be a griot. And she'd fill me with every story of black life. You know, she's educated in African-American studies, and she would let me understand the context that I was being raised in, that I'm being raised in a hostile environment that I have to tame. By the time I was 14 years old, I was in nightclubs, mastering an adult world. It was terrifying. The crack epidemic was going on, and my mother would hear gunshots outside and be scared to death. Maybe it's my son. But early in my career, if you remember, Mom, you used to sit in the club with me. She'd do a full day of work. You'd be back there falling asleep, just waiting for me to go on. She would watch my show every night. Do you know how long that car ride is home? How many of you have ever heard your mother say, pussy jokes were a little too much tonight, son? I was a soft kid. I was sensitive, I'd cry easy, and I would be scared to fist fight. And my mother used to tell me this thing, I don't even know if you remember, but you said this to me more than once. You said, son, sometimes you have to be a lion so you can be the lamb you really are. I talk this shit like a lion. I'm not afraid of any of you. When it comes word to word, I will gab with the best of them, just so I can chill and be me. And that's why I love my art form, because I understand every practitioner of it. Whether I agree with them or not, I know where they're coming from. They want to be heard. They got something to say. There's something they notice. They just want to be understood. Love this genre. It saved my life. So tonight, Mom, I would like to honor you in a very special way that I cannot do on my own. But because now I'm a man with great and influential friends, I'd like to ask my man Thundercat to come out on the stage. Thundercat, the Mighty Most Def. Washington, D.C., thank you very much for giving me a home and a place to start. Today is officially Dave Chappelle Day in Washington, D.C. The mayor declared it last night. So, in the future, on Dave Chappelle Day, I ask everyone who wishes to celebrate it to make one incredible memory for themselves and or somebody else. Thank you very much. Good night.
I love Dave Chappelle, unconditionally. I met Dave in the 90s, the early 90s, 17-year-old kid, coming into New York City, just out of high school, cutting his teeth on what were some of the toughest comedy rooms in the country, and he was shockingly formed at 17 years old. And you would, old, grizzled comedy veterans from there, you would think we would have nothing but anger at this young prodigy, this young Mozart. And yet you loved him because of the kindness of his spirit. And even back then, I knew how hilarious he was and how insightful he was. I remember we worked together in the 2000s. We were both at Comedy Central. I was at The Daily Show. Dave was at Chappelle's show. And Chappelle's show was this rocket ship that he had created. And it became this cultural phenomenon. And Comedy Central would do anything to keep it going. And they offered Dave $50 million to just give them one more, just give us one more. But Dave at that moment was conflicted because of the difficulty of how the show was to do, because he wondered about its impact on the audience that he meant it for, and he walked away. And it was that moment that I remember thinking, Comedy Central has $50 million? These motherfuckers won't even let us have snacks at the Daily Show. They have $50 million. Well, at that point, Dave, he left. He was done, but I knew that money was going to need a home. Dave, I want you to know tonight that I raised that money like it was my own.
This man is unbelievable. I'm not talking about just his stand-up, how he interacts with people, random fans. We were in Minneapolis, Minnesota. White kid just freaks out. Oh my God, Dave Chappelle! He just loses his shit. And I'm like, hey man, relax, you know, because people think because I'm so big, I'm in security and shit. I'm like, relax. He's like, come on, man. Oh my God, Dave Chappelle, please come up to my apartment and have some weed. And Dave looked at me and I looked back at him. I was like, I am out of weed, bro. Let's at least check out what this situation is. And let's see where it takes us. You know what I mean? So we go up to his apartment. I go in, I see this giant jar full of weed, just like white people have. And I take my nugget. I was like, thank you so much. And we're about to walk out. And the entire time he starts pounding on his roommate's door. Wake up, bro! Wake up! We got fucking Dave Chappelle in our apartment! But he won't wake up to save his life. And we're leaving. He's like, please take a picture. Please take a picture with me. And Dave was like, hey man, we're moving in the night right now. For security purposes. We can't be doing this. And we start walking down his stairs. And he's up on the top of the stairs. He's like, no one is gonna believe.
Shout out to Washington, D.C.'s mayor, Muriel Bowser. I gotta tell you, you're a very special person to me. We're only a year apart, and you run our city. Wonderfully. I walked into my old high school. Man, Muriel arranged a $150 million renovation to the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I was so jealous of the students there. You really mean the world to me, and you really did a blessing to this city. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Sincerely. I've never voted in Washington, but God damn it if I did, I'd vote for you. And you know what? If you smoke crack, I'd still vote for you. I know you wouldn't, but if you ever want to indulge yourself, you got that kind of wiggle room with me. I'm not indifferent to people suffering because I know it's hard to be everybody. We blacks, we just got our first big holiday in a long time. Happy belated Juneteenth to the blacks. Juneteenth is a strange holiday, isn't it? It commemorates when black people in Texarkana area of the country first found out they were free. But remember, they were free when they found out. They just didn't know it yet. Very, very interesting holiday. You know, I learned something. It was a wild story. I learned this past Juneteenth of a story that's true, and there was a black man who was in South Carolina during slavery who somehow got granted his freedom by his so-called master. And when his master granted him the freedom, he also gave him a plot of land. Now, it turns out this brother was brilliant. He had a good eye, a good knack for farming. And he farmed this plot of land very successfully and made a lot of money. And this is where the story gets crazy. When he got all that money, this nigga bought some slaves. Have you ever heard this before? This is a true story. Not only was he a slave owner, he became a slave breeder and employed tactics that were so cruel, even white slave owners were like, yo, my man. He was a wild dude, but he did it just because that's what successful people did at the time, and he just wanted to be down. What a fucking tragedy. How can a person that went through slavery perpetrate the same evil on a person that looks just like him? It's mind-blowing. And, shockingly, they're making a movie about him. Ironically, it's called Space Juice. Space Juice. The point of that story is this person was invested in a construct, that was the construct of successful people, and he just followed the roadmap of successful people. He followed what they call an incentive. Now, everyone struggles, but I'm very invested in the gender construct, personally, because I'm a man with kids and a wife, and I like that warm, wet, soft pussy that my wife has. This does not mean that I feel like another point of view can't exist. I was doing a nightclub in Oakland 16 years ago, and this is the first time that the trans community ever got mad at me that I knew about. And I was nobody. I just quit Chappelle's show. It was like a nothing hole-in-the-wall club, and I was doing some transgender jokes in Oakland. It was 16 years ago. My pronoun game was not as nice as it is today. I went too far. I said things like tranny and shit. I didn't know these words were bad, and a woman stood up and just gave me the business, started screaming at me, and I'm sure it was a woman, but she kept calling me transphobic and all this shit. I'd never even heard these words before. It's really weird. I didn't trip. I just gave security the look like, you know, get that bitch out of here. And I kept it moving. And then she went to the press, and the next day, one of the gay papers wrote all the same things she had said to me about me in the paper. Misquoted the jokes and was calling me transphobic. And again, all these words, I'd never heard them before, but every time that I talked with anybody from that community since, they always repeat the talking points from that article. My least favorite of which being, and I hate this phrase, they say I was punching down on them. Punching down. What the fuck does that mean? Now fast forward, it's 2019. I'm in a restaurant in Ohio, a very nice restaurant. It's Thanksgiving week. And to be honest, it's not a very nice restaurant, but it's a nice restaurant if you're a white person from Ohio that's never been anywhere before. Picture Chili's. I'm sitting in the bar, I'm having a drink by myself, and the only other person in the bar is a woman, a couple stools down, and she was alone, and she was older, and that made me feel sad because it was the holidays. So I told the bartender, send that woman a drink on me. She's trying to spread the cheer, and I wish I didn't. This woman wanted to talk. She wasn't mean, she was nice, but she just wanted to talk about shit that, you know, I mean, the nigga that's trying to get drunk don't want to hear about this bitch remodeling her bathroom, and I'm sitting there trying to be polite. Oh, subway towels, word. But then she hits a lick, piqued my interest. She says, my daughter is coming home for the holidays. Oh, that's great news. I'm glad you're not gonna be alone. And then she goes on and on about how great her daughter is. I guess her daughter got a new agent, and she's out in Hollywood, she's in movies and on television and all this stuff. And as she's telling me this, I'm thinking, this woman is so sweet. She probably doesn't even know who I am or what I do for a living. Because I know what your daughter's out in Hollywood doing. And then she goes, would you like to see her picture? Oh, now I don't want to see this woman's picture, but what am I gonna do? I go, okay, yeah, sure, I'd love to see the picture. And I grab the picture, and this is all I say. This is all I say. Oh, she's very beautiful. And as she puts the picture away, she looks mean all of a sudden, like she caught me in some kind of trap. What does that face mean? And then she goes, she's transgender. And I think to myself, oh, this bitch does know who I am. I really resented that trap because that trap doesn't let me be honest. If I was honest, I wouldn't fall for it. I just looked at the picture like, ooh, look at that big chiseled jawline, that big thick Joe Rogan neck. Is that a dude? Is your daughter a man? Can't say that shit. It's really annoying.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Oh, wow. Boy, that was exciting, wasn't it? Thank you, guys. Have a seat, feel comfortable, relax. I want to thank everyone in LA for a wonderful week. It's been great here. You know what? It's been 10 years since the last time I played Los Angeles, if you can imagine. I know, I've been gone for a very long time. And unbeknownst to you, it was a difficult 10 years. I'm not gonna take you through all the agony I've been through, but it was tough. Some of it you might have seen. I don't know if you ever saw on TMZ, the big headline, Dave Chappelle, drunk on stage in Detroit. Well, if you saw it, I wasn't drunk. I had smoked some reefer with some rappers. Yeah. I don't know if you know anything about hanging out with rappers, but their weed is very strong. Stronger than what I was accustomed to. The article goes on to say I was booed off stage, which is also incorrect. I was booed. I did not leave. It was a long bump. It was a fucking nightmare. 2 puffs of weed, that's all it was. 2 puffs. I never had that happen. When I take 2 puffs of weed, I looked at the guy next to me, I was like, I'm gonna bomb, nigga, I can feel it. And that guy called my name, Dave Chappelle. Niggas was like, you know, normally when you do a comedy show, you guys don't know what it looks like up here, but niggas be looking up at you like. That's how the show started. Didn't take long for the faces to switch up, like, what the fuck? They started looking amongst themselves. So I knew I wasn't doing good. I don't remember what I was saying. It just took one person to break the ice. It's a black lady with a Ford Motor shirt on. She stood up suddenly. Fuck you, Dave Chappelle. I said, excuse me? She said, I worked all week for this shit, and this show sucks. And in a weird act of racial harmony, a conservative white guy stood up and backed her up. Yeah! The whole crowd band together and started chanting, we want our money back. We want our money back. I said, oh shit. I snapped out of it. Good people of Detroit, hear me. Hear me now. You will never get your fucking money back. Fuck that. I said, I'm like Evel Knievel. I get paid for the attempt. I didn't promise this shit would be good. Boo, they said, fuck you. This went on for a long time. And then after the show, I felt so bad, I took half of the money from the show, thousands of dollars. I said, I'm gonna give this to charity. You know what I did? I bought $25,000 worth of bubble gum and drove around Detroit and handed it out to the homeless so they could chew it and still be hungry. I was very mad at Detroit that night. Because not only did I bomb, nigga, I had to go back to the very same room the next night and do it all over again. Fucking nightmare. That would be like if you were having sex with a woman and for some reason, this would never happen, but for some reason, she had a mouse trap in her pussy. You get caught in the trap. And then you gotta fuck her again tomorrow night. I'd still do it, but you know, I'd be careful the next time. The old mouse trap in the pussy trick, eh? Fool me once. Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough time. And I wanted to give up sometimes. I almost did give up, but then right before I gave up, I decided not to. But I made the call. They answered the phone. Hello? Dancing with the Stars. I said, not yet. Not yet. Yeah. Oh, if you see me on that shit, it's over. Trust me. My spirit is broken. If you see me waiting for them judges, getting critiqued on my cha-cha, fuck that. I've been hanging out. I haven't been working in LA, but I come out here and hang out. I was out here a few weeks ago. I was kind of rested. I'm not bullshit. This happens a lot. Like, what happened was, I was coming out of one of those nightclubs in Hollywood, and my friend saw me. He was on the bar or something. So he just rolled up to his friend of mine. He's like, hey, baby, keep the keys. And I got the passenger side of my car. Traffic stop started off on the right side. Cops came up to the driver's side. Hi, how you guys doing? You recognize me? Oh, Dave Chappelle. And then, when you guys were swerving, you're like, you might want to step out the car for a second. No cause for it. I looked in the rearview mirror, the body of the arrested. Then when I looked back in the rearview mirror, something had gone horribly wrong. The motherfucker's back there like. And the next thing I knew, there was stuff on the back of the car, and I thought, everybody would think it was oh my God, what is going to happen to me? And the police walked up to the window. Would rather you just give me the keys. They said, well, Mr. Chappelle, your friend already told us he's your designated driver. We can't let you drive in this condition. I was like, no, nigga, I'm good. I'm good. And then suddenly the shit turned into Vegas. He was like, I'll let you blow for it. I said, excuse me? He said, if you blow on my breathalyzer. I said, oh, nigga, I thought you was trying to get your dick sucked. What's going on? If you blow in my breathalyzer and pass, I'll give you the keys to the car. I said, set him up, nigga, let's play. And I blew in that thing, and it made a noise. I said, uh-oh. And he looked at it and he said, oh, well, Mr. Chappelle, I guess you're free to go. I said, I am. I didn't know that thing didn't pick up weed. I drove home on the 30 miles an hour. Yeah, no, it all worked out. It all worked out. I'm one of the lucky ones. It doesn't work out that well for everybody. I saw that videotape of that lady that got beat up in LA in the traffic. You see that shit on rush hour traffic? They beat a black woman's ass. This woman didn't even do anything wrong. It's fucked up. It was so fucked up it didn't even go to court. The city of LA just gave that woman $1.5 million for her pain and suffering. That is not bad, considering That's the same amount of money that Marcos Maidana made to fight Floyd Mayweather the second time. And this woman obviously hasn't trained a day in her life. You can see it on the tape. She didn't come to fight. Her guards were low. She was taking a lot of shots.